Hi, I'm Jane, and together with Jodes, we are two proud feminists passionate about female empowerment. This podcast is our take on the real conversations, real issues, and real challenges we must stay focused on if we're going to inspire the next generation of female leaders, managers, and entrepreneurs to pick up the baton and continue the journey to equality. But be warned, there will be rants and the odd profanity, but mainly just lots of curious conversations, uplifting stories, great guests, and food for thought on the path we still have to travel. It is clear that our young girls need us to harness our gumption and to use our voices now to make the changes we all know need to happen. It's time to be a pioneer, not a passenger. To paraphrase the famous words of a female game changer, Hollywood's iconic Bette Davis, fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy ride. Welcome to Series 2, Episode 2, all the twos. Together, Jodes and I today are talking about Media Mirror on the Wall. Who's the most toxic of them all? Ooh. Now, remember, the theme for this series is the system is biased. The system is biased. So today we're talking about the media.
So we had a little bit of a chat about this, didn't we? Because actually the media is a really, really broad header.
It's big.
It's a big banner. So when we talk about media, let's just be really, really clear about what the scope of that is. Because I tell you what, when I first think of the word media, just media on its own, my head goes straight for papers, newspapers as the top.
It's your age, darling. It's your age, that.
Is that because I'm an 80s kid?
Yeah. If I asked a 25-year-old, they'd tell me Insta or YouTube.
Yeah, see, they put the word social in front of it, don't they?
Yeah.
So, but it includes social media. We're talking, yes, about newspapers. We're talking about magazines, but we're also talking about everything that we possibly read or watch or see when we're going about our daily business. So that might be things like TV programs,
adverts on bus stops,
billboards, all those kinds of things. So when we're talking about media, that's kind of the broad range we want you to have in mind, because actually, we're going to talk through some really interesting, maybe quite some contentious points today.
As we do.
You know us. But actually, I want you to kind of have that broader view of, okay, whilst we might be talking about an example that's specifically around something on TV, it might trigger things in your mind that show up with the same kind of theme, but through a different media channel. Because that's what's important here. If we're talking about the system being biased, that means that it runs through all of those channels. It's infiltrating. I like that word. Not in a good way, but I do like it. It's seeping, oozing,
leaking.
All into our daily lives. So it's important that we think about it like that.
Okay. So when we talk about this bias in this system, we are talking particularly about this word misogyny, aren't we? We've mentioned it many times. So we are talking about we are living in a misogynistic society. Now, that's fact, okay? But you may have a different filter. You may be looking at these things differently. But when you think about all those things that we're watching and we're seeing, let's just take like the things we watch on TV. So at the moment, TV is full of crime dramas, true life crime, reality TV, and soaps. And you'd struggle to find anything else to watch, to be fair.
Unless it's Pointless or The Chase, which I haven't, I haven't really got time for.
Quizzes are the other one. Quizzes are the other one, so you'd struggle to find anything else. So every single one of those shows, think about the way women are positioned. So we watch a lot of crime thrillers in our house because I'm married to an ex-copper. And so it always starts off with a woman dead. Okay, you see her feet, or she's buried in there. You always see. So is a woman dead. There are now lots of women that are in charge of these investigations, so they're the boss. However, they're incredibly flawed because they're trying to also manage their family, they're generally having trouble with their relationship because he's either walked or she's walked, because they might be in the same sex relationship, or they're struggling as to who does what, and she's not carrying her weight doing this and so on. So they're having trouble at home. They're having trouble with their kids because their kids aren't getting the attention they need from mum, and dad hasn't stepped in. So, you know, they're struggling there. The woman boss always has a number two that's a man, and he always solves the crime.
He's there.
He's on it.
Wings,
yeah. He always comes up with the breakthrough, or the thing that's she's just not seen.
Yeah.
So how are we positioning the woman in those dramas? Well, she's not coping very well with the job, is she? She'd be better off staying at home with the kids, looking after her husband.
Even when we take her out of the victim position, or, you know, we put a woman in the power position as well as the victim position, you know, we still can't let her shine too brightly.
No, absolutely not. She can't solve it. She, you know, she's got to be flawed.
But she will absolutely be quite an alpha woman. She will have very, very male energy.
Absolutely.
One that springs to mind for me is it wasn't Line of Duty. It was the one that was on Channel 4. Lady with the blonde hair. Oh, it'll come to me at some point. Okay. But yeah, she was like very masculine in her energy.
Yes.
You know, and actually they really laboured on her from a comedy, like almost dark humour perspective with her. But yeah, very, very male coded.
So then we've got all these true crimes. And I challenge you to look at all these channels on your TV tonight and see how many of those are true live crime.
Especially
stories.
When you get out of channels 1 to 4. 5 has loads. And then when you get into some of the more satellite channels.
I mean, you know, 1 to 4 have enough of them.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. Phone's ringing. Yeah. Somebody get that. Yeah, so, and again, it's all about men killing women, men doing things to women being the victims. And we're addicted to it to the point that we've normalized that behavior. Yeah. We expect to see it. It's normal, isn't it? Men kill women. Well, yeah, it is. It is. And that's, you know, how's that feeding the system? How's that feeding the next generation?
Well, and the one program we picked up on it in the quizzes, but if we go game shows, I think we mentioned this. I probably piped up about it in series 1 around some game shows, particularly Take Me Out. That then it's the guy with the power, and they literally do that. The power is in your hands, and put the light up ball in his hands. And
he
chooses.
Yeah. And they all like peacocks.
Oh, please pick me.
Please pick me. Flicking their hair and coming up with all this suggestive phraseology when they're asked a question.
And nobody turns up in their jeans and a t-shirt.
Oh no.
But you know, that's never flipped around the other way. No, is it?
No, it's not. No, I was Blind Date the same. Or did they?
No, they
both chose.
Yeah, we'll give credit for Scylla. We'll give credit to Scylla.
Yeah, they both did it. They both did it.
They did both swap.
So think about soap operas, and I don't watch soap operas, but I only need to see the soap opera picture on the TV page, and I can tell you what the story is about, and it's usually domestic violence or adultery, and it's always the women being the victim, and if she's not the victim, she's in the wrong.
Yeah.
So I don't need to watch many of them. Reality TV, which we've probably talked about before, because it impacts young girls big time.
If we had a quid for every time we spoke about reality TV,
man, it just get it off. Just get it off. So, you know, just be a little bit conscious and aware of what we're looking at, and you know, because awareness is the first stage of any kind of power. Yeah. Just to be consciously aware.
Yeah, and you know, I think the main, when we're talking about the system is biased and this idea of misogyny, it's like, well, what are we saying that is? How is it biased? And I think what we've kind of illustrated there through all the conversations we had is, you know, that misogynistic, that right view is very clearly defined in terms of roles, isn't it?
Yeah.
Broadly speaking, but you know, the men are the ones who have control, who have power, who have kind of choice, you know, and women exist to
facilitate that.
Yeah, support
nurture
it, care it, nurture it. do whatever is necessary to make sure that they can carry on the way that they need to carry on.
Look after the children.
Yeah.
Look after the
home.
aging parents. Look after the home. Make everything work for him so that he can go out and earn the big bucks or do what he wants. So that's what we mean by misogyny. Misogyny is about celebrating male.
Yeah.
It's about putting the man first and front and center all the time.
Yeah. And you, I don't know, maybe you're sitting there thinking, really? I don't see this stuff like you're describing it. You know, you might think, oh my God, Jane, Jodes, you're being a bit dramatic here. You know, you're being
a bit right wing here.
Your girls. Feminism's gone mad.
Yeah.
Your feminism's gone
tug
to your
thumping
head.
a bit here.
But actually, that's the point, isn't it? You know, especially when we use the word biased, and how actually a lot of this stuff, it's not necessarily in your face, loud and clear, blaring at you 100 decibels, is it? They're the subliminal, the subconscious messages, the more subtle things that come through in images, language, the tone of certain things, little tiny pebbles dropped here and there, but they're everywhere. That actually conditions us without realizing, both men and women, right? So it conditions young boys and teen boys, as well as young girls and teen girls, to grow up to think that this is what's normal. Because that's what I did. I grew up in a household. Oh, my dad doesn't listen to this. Oh, well, so what if he does? Right. Actually, because, Dad, I grew up in a house where my dad had a calendar up in his bedroom of naked women.
And that was quite
My mum slept in that bedroom as well, you know.
Yeah.
And they were page 3 style. That's just popped in my head now. I didn't actually say that to you, did I? But only saying that. But that was what I thought was normal. So I grew up then thinking, well, that's how I need to, like, present myself to her. And that's how I saw, you know, my mum try and be all this for my dad. And my dad was the one who went to work. When he came in, he wanted to sit in the armchair with the paper. My mum would be like, right, your dad's home now. He's had a hard day at work. Leave him alone. Don't talk to him. My mum would run in with his tea. But my mum had a full-time job, you know.
Wow.
But that was all kept a bit on there.
Yeah.
My mum, you know, don't moan about your job because you're lucky you flipping get to go out to work.
Yeah.
Not so long ago.
And not so long ago. So, you know what, we've made massive strides.
We have.
You know, so we're not, I don't want to diss that, but we've still got a way to go, which is one of the reasons we wanted to do this podcast, isn't it? That, you know, we can't take our foot off the gas.
Especially because of COVID.
Yes, some of this stuff we're going back. We are going back. And it's the women that are being asked to change. It's the women that are being asked to bear the brunt of that, not the men. The men are still, their life's still the same. So we do go out to work, but it's like, have we got the power at work? Yes, we go out to work, but if we wanted to be the boss, or we wanted to get on the board, or we wanted to do the big job that would demand more time and more commitment, how would society see us then if we wanted to do that? So it's making that next leap. And the women that do those big jobs, I mean, hail those women. But a lot of the time, those women have either had to make huge sacrifices that men haven't had to make, or, you know, they are single, or they are divorced or childless.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because they've had to make those sacrifices to have that job. But men don't have to make those sacrifices. And therefore, we don't have the same equity.
No, and actually, because of the work we do with many of the young people in our schools, you know, we're seeing that show up a lot, aren't we? And in fact, it's showing up in just the last few days, last week. You know, and it's prime example of how the media, particularly, again, remember when I say media, I'm talking lots of different channels, constantly beaming stuff at us, especially our young people. And it sounds drastic to say it's brainwashing us, but it is.
We've flipped it, haven't we? Flipped this. You know, the media, well, we call it brainwashing. You might think that's a strong word, but it's flipped. So I'll give you an example. I did an event in a school last Friday. It was a celebration event of girls that have been on our Girls Out Loud mentoring program for a year. And I asked the girls to write on flip charts what they'd learnt in the year and some of the things they would like to share with us. And about 5 or 6 girls came up to me, really bright girls, and said to me, Miss, we think that you should be doing this with the boys. And I thought, well, I'm going to go with this. So I said, so that's really interesting, girls. Why do you think we should do it for the boys? Well, because it's not fair, is it? It's not fair that we get it and they don't. So they feel uncomfortable having a program and having that space for them as girls when the boys don't have the same thing.
Yeah.
But the boys don't necessarily need the same thing because they will already get automatically in life what the girls won't get.
Yeah. And before you start jumping out your seats, the topic that we're talking about here really is, it's not about equality. And the girls use the words fair, because actually we're not in a space where we can do fair and equal. You know, just think back to International Women's Day just a few weeks ago, where the topic was equity. You know, and that's the bit that was important to explain to the girls, because actually, you know, they're feeling like they're being almost positively discriminated against, and the boys are missing out. They don't understand yet that the equity gap hasn't been bridged. I guess that's what you had to explain to them, really, wasn't it?
To them, yeah. I said, you know, when you have power, girls, when you have the big jobs, when you're allowed to have to be able to do what you want to do in terms of opportunities, you know, when you can do exactly the same stuff that the boys can do in terms of opportunity, not be like boys. You know, you're a girl, you're not supposed to be like a boy. Well, then brilliant. Then we can run programs for both boys and girls.
Yeah, because you've got equity then.
We've got equity.
And then we can treat you equally.
Absolutely. But at the moment, you have nowhere near got that equity. And that's the reason why we're focused on building your aspiration, your confidence, your resilience, because you need that, because you're going to have to fight for your equality.
Yeah. And actually this throwed it up. A point that made me stop myself in my tracks and think, oh, hang on a minute, wait. Because I remember some girls asking me that a couple of weeks back, similar kind of response that I'd given them. And I went away and I sat in the car and I was driving home and I thought, oh, I feel like I've just done what I criticised the media for doing after, it was specifically after the Sarah Everard tragic, you know, her murder happened, in that everything that the media had to say was all about what women needed to do to stay safe.
Yes.
And I felt like, oh, hang on a minute, I've kind of just done that with the girls. But actually, you know, they're right in a way that the boys do need something, but they don't need what the girls need. No. The girls are getting a program that empowers them, that inspires them, that raises their aspirations, that helps them to make better life choices. You know, what I think the boys need is help to become allies to bridge this equity gap. That needs some men to do that. It does. I keep saying to people, brilliant. Yeah, you know what? You're right. The boys do need something. It's not what the girls have got. They need something different. But we're not the people to give it to them. We'll bang the drum and try and get somebody to do it. But, you know, that's about some men getting hold of that and helping that cause. Absolutely. But it's such a shame, isn't it, that these girls still sit there thinking, you know, when we say to them, what do you want to be when you grow up? They still will list things like, not that there's anything wrong with these. It's that they are very
the only thing they
stereotypical female type roles, as to be a nursery nurse, a hairdresser, nails, beauty,
eyelash technician. That's the latest, isn't it? Eyelash technician, any kind of caring job, nurse, veterinary nurse, air stewardess.
And the classic with the veterinary nurses, when they're in primary school, they'll tell you they want to be a vet. When they get to secondary school, all of a sudden veterinary nurse. You know, so their aspirations. So that tells me that, because these teachers are all subjected to the same media that we're all subjected to, right? We're all subjected to the same media. So it can't help itself but leak through in that way.
And it's like, we want to be an air stewardess. Why? Because I want to travel the world. Why don't you be a pilot then?
Or
because they travel the world as well, you know. You know, I want to be a nail technician. Why don't you have your own salon? So it's, you know, that's what aspiration's about, isn't it? It's trying to push them up to that next level, but they don't even think that that's possible. They go, pilot? Pilot? Why don't you be a vet? Oh no, I don't think I could be a vet. Why not? Why not?
I'm not that good at science and maths. That's what they always say, and they're not. They're brilliant at science and maths. So what's your grades in your maths? Yeah, mental.
Why don't you be a doctor? Why don't you be a midwife? Why don't you up that? There's nothing wrong with being a nurse. There's nothing wrong with being a nurse at all. But there's so many other things you could do that are in that professional sphere that gives you more money, and gives you a better life.
Well, we've got to see that the media is contributing significantly to a lot of these situations. And the most disappointing thing for me out of all of that is that we have now got young women and girls that feel uncomfortable about them being invested in, that they don't get the equity gap, and that they need that to gain parity.
But we also have exactly the same thing going on with women in corporates, which we're going to talk about, aren't we, at one of our next podcasts about this, and that the women are being silenced and the women aren't stepping up as well.
Yeah, totally.
So here's how we're going to end the podcast today.
Well, this could all just be our opinion, isn't it? So we thought, actually, let's make sure that we do validate where we're at, because if the system's biased, and then as human beings, we can equally be as biased. We'll talk about that at the end when we always like to end on what can we do about it, but we're going to test it first. So we've got the newspaper out. We've got a newspaper tabloid, that is from 2 days ago. Just two days ago. Random one out of the rack in the house, and we just thought, let's just have a flick through it and see what shows
what we can see
in terms of real evidence and examples of what we've been talking about. So slap bang there, right on the front page of this one, is Emily on that Styles kiss, which has a big picture of the girl Emily and a very small head of Harry Styles in the corner.
She's a beautiful model, and she dared to kiss Harry Styles.
I mean, and ruin his relationship.
He clearly didn't kiss her, and he clearly wasn't also in a relationship with two other women at the same time. But there you go. Well,
that's what made the front page in this one. Lo and behold, we turn over one page, and we have a full picture of a woman in a rather nice bikini.
Not much of it,
but rather nice. And the first line kind of says this model, I won't name her, is brimming with confidence. A year after her big break, the American 25 who wore a straw sun hat and snakeskin bikini for a photo shoot saw her career take off after being cast in the video for Enrique Iglesias's, is that right? Song. I won't even tell you what his song is because I'm not promoting him anymore. But for me, that straight away is, what on earth has a straw sun hat and a snakeskin bikini got to do with her career taking off? And lo and behold, all of her success rests on the balance of Enrique Iglesias,
who she's also seen snogging in the corner.
So there we go.
Another one.
There's another one. Oh, way up. Who's this?
So on the left, we have pictures of Amanda Holden from, is it the X Factor?
But BGT.
Britain's Got Talent, and the headline is Abs for Amanda. So this is all about Amanda's value being in the way she looks, and how she's keeping looking young, and what she's wearing, and how much of her body flesh we can see. And that's basically all Amanda is. She's a doll.
I'm sure she's much more than that.
Well, but that's
the media paints a picture of
that's not what we're finding out. Is it? Don't anything else about her.
Directly opposite from that, wanted widow ditches ex-con. So I think it's Kelsey Parker. Her husband died. Did he have a brain tumor?
He's like the wanted, isn't he? He's a star that pops out.
So it's all about her ditching this ex-con, again dressed rather dashingly for the papers. And then we've got the absolute classic that just makes me blood absolutely boil. Sorry, everybody. And that is the Wagatha flipping Christie. shenanigans, drama.
3 years of it, this has been in and out of the papers about 2 women fighting, calling each other names, trolling each other on social media.
Over she said.
And now they've been to court, haven't they?
Yeah.
They did. I don't know who won. I can't even.
It was Colleen.
Right. But now Vardy's registered.
She's trademarked Wagatha Christie and she's planning to cash in on it. But the thing that's the issue for me on this one is just how it gets women to fight against each other.
And what messages is that giving our young girls?
No, ridiculous. Over such ridiculous stuff. God, we could go on.
Yeah,
we could go on, but
every
yeah,
page.
It is.
Every page.
There we go. There's the rest of.
Shall we end on that one?
Kiss and tell Emily with tongue direction, not one direction, tongue direction with the Harry kiss. But yeah, making it all about her being a bit of a relationship assassin for poor Harry.
Oh, poor
Harry. You know, there's just some examples. I think.
So let's kind of wind up with our solutions that we always do. We like to rant.
Let's get on a positive poll.
Yeah, we like to rant. We like to see where we are, what's going on. And so what are the solutions to all of this? Well, as I said before, for me, awareness is power on all of this stuff, which is why we're doing it. And, you know, when you're aware that if that's how the media is portraying women, you will look at things differently. You will watch things with a different filter, with a different lens. You will have different conversations. You will recognize where and what we need to do.
You'll tolerate
less.
Yes, you know, your threshold will change about what is acceptable and what is unacceptable. But you know, that does come with its own health warning, because remember, we're talking about biases.
Yeah,
we've all got built-in biases, and actually having that awareness does carry a risk that it sways your bias very far in the opposite direction, where that is all you can see. And, you know, your brain's a very clever thing in that if it believes something, it will go finding evidence to reinforce that belief, and it'll bloody well find it wherever it has to. And it will ignore evidence to the contrary. So, you know, it's important to maintain a degree of balance through that awareness, you know, that you challenge your own biases.
And also end with the same thing that we'll probably say about every single podcast that we do, that the big solution is to speak truth to power. The big solution is to get some of the power. Okay. So once we get some of the power and we're around the top table and we're making the decisions and we're making the laws and we're in the political process, this is true power. And this power at the moment is owned by men. Okay. The majority is owned by men. And so the real solution to all of the stuff we talk about on every single podcast is actually to get more power, because the power will give us the ability to change the bias.
And it's worth noting that actually feminine power looks very, very different to male power. So this isn't about us taking their slice of the pie and just owning it. It's about doing it in a very different way, doesn't it? In a feminine way. So and actually, you know, it may be that position's not for you. Maybe you're sitting there thinking, but I'm not the person who's up for a bit of that power. Support somebody who is.
Yes.
Yeah. Get behind some of the women and girls and young people who can hold some of that feminine power.
Absolutely.
So right. Well, that's us for this week's episode. It's an interesting topic, isn't it? So eyes peeled, ears back. Go out there and see what you notice. And, you know, we'd love you to get in touch and share some of the things that you do come across. What revelations does that show up for you? And what does it make you want to do differently? But that's it for us from us this week. Till next time. We'll see you in episode 3.
Ciao. You have been listening to Jane and Jodes on One. Until next time, remember, sisterhood matters. Together, we are bold, brave, fierce, and unstoppable.